What Matters is the simplest of competitions in a way, because it's simply asking young students, school students from years 5 to years 12, to write what matters to them in 400 to 600 words. It's an opportunity for young people to say without, tell us what they think. And what we find is we get not only a very large response, which is great, but we also find that each year it's like a window into what's going through the minds of these young people, and they're extraordinary, absolutely extraordinary in what they tell us about their lives, about their views about society, the things that really are important to them. But for students at all abilities and backgrounds, it seems to us that they just really appreciate an opportunity to say what they think and not have it mediated. We're not telling them what to write, we're not telling them as an exercise, we just ask them, tell us what you think. And they seem to respond to that very, very positively. 2014 was again a year in which thousands of young people took the opportunity to write. The competition is now run by the Tasmanian government. In New South Wales and the ACT, the home competition if you like, we had, I think it was close on well over 2,500, I think it was 2,700 entries this year. And we had over 300 entries in Tasmania. And the judging panel are prominent writers and journalists, people like Emily Rodder, Andrew West from the ABC, Julie Hare, who's the higher education editor in the Australian, Eric Brace from the Literacy and Numeracy Foundation, a really prominent team of judges who have stayed with us actually. Most of them have been with us almost since the start of the competition, so it's a rather nice family, you'd have to say, around what matters these days. It's a bit of a long saga that they have to go through in a way, that every one of the entries is read and assessed. And so we have a group of professional markers who do an initial read, and they provide a long list, which then goes off to our judging panel. And once the initial cull is done with the markers, that goes off to the judges for each of the categories. A determination is made then on the winner and the runner-up. The 4 winners then go into the judges. So those 8 entries go to the full judging panel, and they make a determination on who is the overall winner of the What Matters for this year. The judges come back with a whole range of reflections, but really I think what they tell us the most is that the very straight, direct way that these young people are articulating the things that are important to them. Sometimes it's quite raw and quite personal, and it can be quite challenging when you read them.
What matters to me is the recognition of what we actually do in war. And my essay was really about the way that we characterise people as killers or heroes. And in times of war, we make people out to be these massive heroes. But then when we look back at it, we go, no, they were killers. And it's the way that we kind of have this changing perspective on war and on killing. And I think that it was really about getting people to question what's happening right now in the world, and whether we should really be involved in the conflicts that we're involved in.
What matters to me is living an ordinary life and not having to leave an extraordinary legacy in order for your life to be considered worthwhile.
What matters to me is rape culture.
I wrote about feminism and rape culture, and that matters to me because it's something that affects society nowadays, but not many people realise it's happening at all, because it's sort of just become like embedded in our society, and no one realises that it's like not something that's okay.
What matters to me is global warming.
The name of my essay was Animal Smuggling, It's Wrong. And I wrote it because it's such a major industry, and how they cruelly treat animals is really quite shocking. And it's not really known much, so I just really wanted to tell the public.
Well, what matters to me is family.
The thing that matters the most to me is family.
Well, what matters to me is giving it a go and believing in yourself. Even if you win or lose, or just not listening to the people who say, if you want to have a dream, you got to achieve this goal, and giving it a go means you can believe in yourself no matter, even if people might think, oh, what a stupid thing, he's never going to achieve that goal. But just not listening to them and giving it a go and believing in yourself. Even if you don't achieve it, it's learning from it.
Every year is different. We've got some really strong entries this year about personal matters, some family, strong entries around family issues. A couple of entries that I thought was really fascinating from 2 completely different schools, and I'm not quite sure, and different age groups, around women and feminism and sexual harassment. Very, very powerful essays from 2 young women. And then we have some of the big issues of life, being some of the environmental issues, asylum seeker issues in the broader spectrum of entries. And we've got a couple of really lovely entries that really explore, very creatively explore, I suppose, the extraordinary behind the ordinary. That ordinary lives and how important ordinary, so-called ordinary lives are. Very, very insightful and I think illuminating series of essays this year, quite different. The awards ceremony is held here in the Female Orphan School at the Parramatta campus of the University of Western Sydney. And this is a terrific year for us because this is the first year that we're holding the ceremony after the full building has been restored. And in 24th of September last year, the Governor-General opened the restored complex as the permanent home for the Whitlam Institute. So we're here in the Female Orphan School. Students now go off to spend a few hours with Bernard Cohen on a creative writing workshop. They'll present their work from that this afternoon after a bit of lunch. And then we have the award ceremony this afternoon, and Hugh McKay, of course, is patron, and he'll be here this afternoon with Quentin Dempster as our special guest, and the Chancellor of the University, Professor Peter Shergold, will be here. So it's regarded as a premier occasion, I think, by certainly by the University and by the Whitlam Institute, and it's one of those occasions which lift the spirits, you'd have to say.
I think we've been running this for almost 10 years now. I've done the last 3, and it is one of the highlights of the year for me, because here you've got young people who are concerned about what matters, writing in this really truthful and touching way. It is truly one of the best things I think we do as a university, and all credit to the Whitlam Institute. Sometimes you think, well, yes, they're going to write about global warming or sex discrimination or about militarism. Some of the topics I wasn't ready for. One was on animal smuggling, which I'd never really thought about before. But I thought what was interesting this year was how many of the stories were about family, the strength that a family could be, the ethos and values, but also about dysfunctional families and the way things can break down, and really the ability to see it from the child's perspective, I thought was really touching.
I was coming home from a train ride, and I sat next to a foster kid, and he had a lot of issues, but he was a really nice guy and stuff, and I was talking to him for a long time, and basically what the root of his problem was that he didn't have a family. He said, I've been to so many different homes, no one actually feels like a proper family for me. And this really shocked me, because I thought everyone has a right to have a family and stay in a stable environment through childhood, because families are what make us, and if you don't have a right family, or if you have something wrong with your family, generally it's going to be very hard for you in life.
I care is about mainly just the things I care about and the things that matter to me, so the way the world is, losing my mum, the way it made me stronger.
These are essays that really do capture what matters in life. And I've never done this before, so apologies, but I just want to read a little bit from one essay, because I'd have to say, I really wish that I had written this. I care about many, many things, but when it comes down to it, I care most about the people I love. I care about the way that just one person can make you feel safe and special when they hold you tight. How one individual can feel like they're your whole world. I care about the little jokes, fights, and the contagious smile that stays when you're together. I care about the feeling of love. I care for the word trust and the meaning behind it. That, I think, is just wonderful.
I'm startled by the depth of talent from people as young as you are. I'm startled by the clarity of your thinking. I'm startled by the intensity of your emotions, by the power behind these essays that have risen to the top of this year's competition. But I have another reaction also. As a social researcher, which has been my lifelong job, each year I read this crop of essays and I wonder if I'm going to learn something about the mood out there. I wonder if I'm going to get a little hint from the themes that come up each year about how the tides might be shifting each year there seems to be a pattern, and this year is no exception. This year I think I'd have to say a much darker mood. These are typically more sombre, more sober essays than the ones we've seen over the last few years. Child abuse, rape, gender inequality, and some very touching writing about the value and the virtue of ordinariness, which I thought was a wonderful antidote to the relentless stuff that we're fed about how everyone's special and to be ordinary is to be dead.
Being from a small town and just living an average sort of life and nothing really happening to you doesn't diminish your possibility of making a change in the world.
I think it's really important that people don't get so caught up in trying to leave a mark on the world that they lose sight of what is actually important to them and lose sight of values that they think should be upheld, all in this desire to leave this mark on the world that's going to have some legacy after they die, which I think is a sentiment which I myself struggle with a lot, trying to leave something behind me. And I wanted to grow out of that and explain that living an ordinary life is just as good as living an extraordinary one.
I loved the underlying theme, even in the darkest of these essays, about the importance of getting on with it. So I see this year's crop as another encouraging symptom that the tide is turning away from a strange period that we've been through in Australia, when we've been, I suppose, in the grip of a seductive and also destructive obsession with personal happiness, with constantly looking on the bright side and trying to pretend that the brightness casts no shadows.
Rape culture, we need to talk about it and we need to raise awareness about it so that people, they're not afraid to speak up about it if they are faced in a situation where they need to. And a lot of the time what people don't realise is it's not usually a stranger out of the bush, it's usually someone that's close to you. So it's quite hard for people to speak up, and in the case of men, they don't want to speak up because it's not manly. So if we raise a bit awareness about it and create a society which is a bit more sensitive to these issues and they don't really make jokes about it, it might be easier for these victims to get help.
Well, I saw a few news articles about like these rape incidents and stuff, and for example there was one in America where these two 16-year-old boys raped a girl at a party, and instead of, when they were convicted, and instead of focusing on like how the girl would feel, the media just like grieved the boys' failed sporting careers. And I thought that just wasn't okay because it obviously isn't about their sporting careers, it's about the fact that they raped a girl.
The writing process is a fundamental skill, no matter what the medium we've got or the multi-platform that we've got. So it's exciting to see people being asked to write 600 words of what matters, which is a provocative title in the first place, and get them to be both narrative and descriptive in their writing. So it makes a bit of intellectual sense.
The next stage of proceedings is to do what we all came for, and that is to make the presentations of the awards to these wonderful young writers.
There are a lot of events we have, but this, as others have said, truly is one of the fun events. My job is to open the envelopes. There are 8 winners and runners-up in New South Wales and the ACT, and we'll deal with them first. And then there will be 4 category winners from Tasmania. The runner-up for Years 5-6 category is Daniel Beattie of Lane Cove West Public School.
Believe in yourself, no matter what other people say about it, and just believe you can do it and get up there, and even if you don't win, it's a learning experience and it's great, and maybe if you keep trying with that, you can make it a life career.
For the same category, Year 5-6, the winner is Brendan Chen of St Ives North Public School.
If people get informed about animal smuggling, they'll do something about it, and such a large industry might possibly be stopped, because it's really quite shocking how they treat animals, and it's also not really good for humans as well.
Next we move to years 7 and 8, where the runner-up is Max Moran.
What matters to you yourself? Everyone's different. No one has one thing that matters to everyone. Don't be fake. Don't talk about something that's interesting and that's still relevant, but you don't honestly relate to it. Talk about something that really matters to you.
The year 9-10 category, the runner-up is Vivian Trong of 4th Street High School.
Well, instead of teaching people not to get raped, like how to prevent getting raped and how to protect yourself, you should just teach other people like not to rape.
The winner in that category is Dana Trivia from North Sydney Girls High School.
You don't have to leave a mark behind you in order for your life to be worthwhile, and I think that this is something that we really need to stop teaching children to believe, and we need to stop teaching them in story tales and on TV and in museums that other people's lives are more important than theirs just because they happened to be known by more people.
The final two winners in years 11 and 12 category, the runner-up is Eleanor Hall. Eleanor attends Loreto Kirribilli.
I think that it's really important to be informed about the world, because we can't just like live in the bubble of Australia, because everything that happens overseas affects us, because you know, refugees and all those issues, and I think it's really important to understand so that we can help, because I think we do have roles as global citizens.
And the winner in years 11 and 12, the New South Wales and the ACT, is Raina Joseph. Raina attends Girraween High School and her essay is Asking for It.
So we have to teach people like what the meaning of consent is, and we have to stop joking about it and stop taking it unseriously, because it is a really serious issue.
And now we move to Tasmania. For years 7 and 8, the category winner is Luke Muir. Luke attends Reese High School.
I think that global warming should not be overlooked as it is and has been currently, and that we should do more to change what is happening to our planet.
For years 9 and 10, the category winner is Chelsea Burt. Chelsea attends Cressy District High School.
It matters because it does happen to people, and it's not some made-up story, it's real life.
And finally, for the years 11 and 12 in Tasmania, the winner is Belinda Parry from Helier College.
Don't shy away from making a difference just because you think you aren't important, because you are, and you can make a change and change society, and it's because of each individual that our society is so dynamic.
It's my great pleasure to announce the overall winner of the 2014 What Matters Writing Competition, Raina Joseph. Congratulations, Raina.
When I heard my name called, I was in shock, because I know how good these people are, and I just did not think I could compete with them. And I'm just really glad to have been part of the whole thing. I'd like to thank my family and my school in general for being so supportive.
I was really surprised. She won the first prize, so I'm really happy with that.
As the principal of Girraween High School, I'm just so incredibly proud of Raina. She's a passionate student and I think a talented writer, and she has been acknowledged today, and we're thrilled for her. Her ability to write clearly, fluently and from the heart is something that we're very proud of.